Time to get some new floors into the little naughty car. Coming up. Hey, how's the jokes? And welcome back to the shop. My name is Dev. And it's Wednesday again, which means it's time for me to do some more work on the Wifey's project. The 59, or is it 54? I've forgotten now. Renault 4CV body that I'm busy modifying to fit onto a VW Beetle floor pan. Oh man, unfortunately no further progress on the Hudson. Let me tell you a quick little story. So I was sitting down quietly enjoying a very nice supper that my wife had cooked for me when she said, "Babes, I've been thinking." Now if you understand Swimbo speak, you'll know exactly what that means. If you don't, allow this OG to enlighten you. First of all, Swimbo is an acronym for she who must be obeyed. And secondly, when they say, "I've been thinking," it actually means, I've worked very hard to cook you a nice supper and I'm about to give you an order. So babes, I've been thinking we must. We is not plural. We in that case is me. Babes, so I've been thinking we must first build the floors in the Renobug before you do any further work on the Hudson, because I would like to sit in the car and just get a feel for it.
Whatever makes you happy.
An order has been given. I need to execute. So in previous videos I got the body mounted and bolted down, so it's not going anywhere now, but I also ended up cutting out all of the original floor. So the game plan now is to build new floors, make all of this work. The floor would need to sit at this level here below the structural member. I can't have it sitting on top because it needs to match up with the flange that we've got here on the tunnel. So I think what is required is a flange that sits here running along the bottom. So I made myself a template with a piece of 1/8 3mm masonite, or hardboard as we call it here. And now the idea is to overlaps a little bit in the bottom, so I can weld it on like this to create this flange, and my floor can bolt on to this. I clamped my pattern to a piece of 3mm plate, 1/8 plate, and now it is actually going to become the template for cutting out my piece, because it will just guide my plasma torch very nicely. One thing to keep in mind is that my workpiece that I end up with will be actually slightly bigger than the template by half the diameter of the nozzle here. So if you want your workpiece the same size as your template, you need to actually cut the template smaller all around by half the diameter of your cutting nozzle. In my case it is 3mm, of 1/8 of an inch. But I'm not going to bother with that. For my application, if my workpiece is a little bit bigger than my template, it doesn't matter. Here you can see the difference in size between my workpiece and the pattern. So as long as you account for that offset, which is caused by the nozzle of your cutting torch, so that would be half the diameter of your nozzle, then this method works really well. We can regard it as the poor man's CNC plasma cutter. So this piece will now sit like this. Get welded to this structural member part. Up here I've already got a piece of flat bar welded onto the tunnel part of it. So now I do want to be able to remove my body, so there's going to be a bolt going through here. Yes, I hope this makes sense. Let me see if I can give you some more clarity on it. So I still have to do some more welding here, but this piece of flat bar, this flange, is attached to the tunnel. That flange will be welded to the body, and I do want to be able to remove the body, so I can't weld it here. So that's why I'm bolting it here. I'll probably do some more mounting structure stuff here as well for another bolt, and then eventually the firewall as well. So yes, my whole consideration now with the flooring that I want to do is that I want to be able to remove this body. Otherwise it would be easy, you can just weld in a piece of plate here. But yes, I do specialize in making my life difficult, and I want to be able to remove the body. Right, so I've got my flange clamped in. Made another one, so it's running all the way through to the back. So I can tack that on now. I lost my mind. Why the hell am I doing this? Crawling around in that dust like a bug or something. I do have a good reason for having the floor removable though, at least in this area. I won't be able to get this pedal assembly in place unless I angle it down and come in at an angle here to get this in place. Like this. And now I can bring it up, because this inner wheel well would simply interfere with assembling this pedal assembly if I can't drop it down like that. Yeah. So to take it apart, I have to slide this out like that. So there's one good reason for having a removable floor, if nothing else. So I have now ended up with a flange all around the outside of this opening, and as far as I know, this will be the only car that I've ever seen with removable floors. So here in the back I've got this flat bar welded to the tunnel, I've got that flat bar welded to the body, but right here I've got a bolt that holds it together. That means I can disconnect the Renault body in the back here. And same story here in the front. So this flat bar here, this flange is welded to the body. That one is attached and welded to the tunnel. I've still got to do some, or finish some welding here. And a bolt there so I can disconnect it. And I've also added this here, I still need to weld that as well. So I can also bolt it through this plate. Now hopefully this makes sense to another plate that is welded to that part of the tunnel. Take out this bolt, take out this bolt, and I can disconnect my Renault body up here as well. So while I am in here, let's do some reconstructive surgery in this area as well. There's actually quite a big gap here. I can get my fingers in there from my initial butchering. So I've cut myself a cardboard template. So the plan now is to make a piece of plate like this, and I can weld in there to cover up my butchering. Like so. So it took a while to get the bends just right, but you know my story, persistence is key. So with a bit of persistence I got that done. Still have to make one for this side as well, and then I can weld it in place. Now of course I can't weld it on this side, because remember I want to be able to take my body off, so only weld on that side, and when the time is right we'll just give it a good run of the old seam sealer on this side. And just like that, the butchering turned into a fine fillet. So next up we want to fill in these holes. Now I'm sure you're all familiar with the CAD system, cardboard assisted design, but I'm going to be using the MAD system. And MAD stands for Masonite Assisted Design. Here in South Africa we call this stuff hardboard. This is 1/8 3 millimeters Masonite hardboard, whatever you want to call it. I like to use this stuff, it's cheap, it's rigid, so it won't go anywhere. So it's nice for making patterns. You can also use this if you want to make up patterns that you use the edge to run your cutting torch against, or plasma cutting torch for cutting out pieces. Of course you can use cardboard, MDF, whatever you have, but this stuff works well. And now I just keep reusing it and reusing it until the pieces get smaller and smaller, and then eventually, and then I get a new one again. So it goes a long way and I like to use it. So I've got some 1.2mm plate, 18 gauge. So I'm going to cut this out of that sheet metal I have now, and then we can make a floor that can bolt into place here and be removable. Okay, let's see how it fits. Yes, man. I might have to add some stiffness underneath, but talking of stiffness, I think some bead rolling is definitely required. I see now that these dies on my El Cheapo bead roller has left this little mark here. So it doesn't bother me in this case. I mean, this is going to get covered up by insulation and carpet anyway. But note to self to just deburr that sharp edge a little bit. Yes, and I know this corner is a little bit messy. But no worries, I'll just sort that out with a hammer and dolly. And then it'll be good. Tap, tap. And that's good enough. We're not building a freaking Ferrari, just a little Renobug. Okay, let's see how it fits. Yeah, that's not half bad. We've got our little step here, all along on the one side. So I reckon we should run a couple more beads here just to stiffen it up. Some more, just something simple. Maybe 2 X's, or just simply straight lines across like this. I don't know, just something simple. Simple is always best in my mind. I know the guys like to come up with all sorts of intricate designs when they do this. But I'm figuring, you know, if I cover it up with carpeting, what's the point of all of that? Then surely the only purpose is to show off during fabrication. No, yeah, I'm not a show off, so let's just do what is necessary. How about we do the same as Renault? An X like that. Maybe we do 2 of them. Technology demons briefly possessed my forest workshop and stole the footage when I was bead rolling my X's or crosses or whatever you want to call them. But it's done, so let's go stick it in the car and see what it looks like. X marks the spot, eh? That's stiffened it up nicely. Now I've just got to fasten it down all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to drill 25 holes in this piece of sheet metal. I know, because I counted them. Now 25 tap size holes through my floor panel and through the flange below. I'm going to use M6 bolts. So the drill size is 5mm. And because it's a Beetle, where everything is metric, we don't have to mention the imperial equivalent. Now just imagine, will you, if this was live or unedited, you would have had to watch me drill 25 holes, and that's just on the one side. I mean, how boring is that? Still, I don't know, for some reason some guys do that. Now, well, if I see a video like that, I'm a goner, man. It's just boring. Okay, more boring stuff, because now I have to take my panel out. And tap 25 holes, just on the one side. If you are brave, stick the tap in your battery drill, put it on slow speed. Lots of cutting fluid. Aim accurate and be steady. And if it slips, that's your safety. Just back it up. Done. So yeah, you might break a tap or two if you've never done it before, but give it a shot. I mean, just be brave, bold, and steady. It makes it go much quicker. Now 25 of these little cap screws. Might help if I tighten the chuck in mine. That's it, bro. Might help if I have it on the right setting. There we go. Right, now I must just repeat these processes 25 more times on that side. I know, because I counted the holes. Whoopee! And finally we have a floor. Lekker man. So obviously during final assembly we will stick in a rubber gasket or some seam sealer to make sure that it's waterproof and dustproof and all of that stuff. X, triple X rated. So the only hole that remains now is that firewall up there, or rather the lack of a firewall. You know, sometimes I sit in my thinking chair to think, sometimes to just sit, like now. I am now what we call in South Africa, gatvol. That is a very iconic South African expression that you say when you've had enough. Gatvol. G-A-T-V-O-L. If I have to translate it literally, it would mean ass full. And yeah, I know that's quite a guttural sound. When I was traveling in Europe and in the Caribbean and in the States, many of the people couldn't even make that sound. But in the Afrikaans language is quite common, the guttural, and also for the R, the R. So yeah, anyway, it's a good word to know, gatvol. And that's me. Excuse me. So that's firewall, or lack of a firewall. I'm going to leave that for another time. I've had enough. I'm going to take a break. So if you're still here, thanks for hanging out with me out here in the shop. I enjoyed your company. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, have a lucky one, my brothers.
Whatever makes you happy, it just depends.